This episode is brought to you by Bird, a Binance Incubator Labs participant. Bird is on the cusp of releasing their most anticipated product yet. Showcased at the Binance Labs Demo Day, it's called the Customized Investor Launchpad Score. Bird harnesses the power of predictive analytics to push the Web3 user experience to new heights. Visit bird.money to learn more about machine learning and ethically mined user data via decentralized oracles and APIs. Link in the description below.
This my two Satoshis, who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis, yeah.
Hola, buenos dias, G&Gs, or actually buenos noches, because it is kind of in the evening now. I'm Trek with 2Ks, and this is another segment of My Two Satoshis, with me jumping in, throwing in my two Satoshis on some things going on in the space. And so I got two things that I'm gonna look to cover. One is directly crypto related, and the other one is kind of crypto related. And once I get into it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so let me get into this first one here. This happened to catch my attention the other day. Shout outs to Ken Bosak and Crypto Stash, because I seen them bring it up and I was just like, that's interesting. So I had to follow in on that a little bit. And so basically what's going on right now is this is a story about a case that was brought in the US in the US Copyright Office. And a gentleman who, I can't even say did this picture that you see in front of you, because he actually did not do the picture himself. This is AI generated art, and the name of the machine is called Creativity Machine. The person's name is Stephen Thaler, right? So Stephen Thaler goes before the US Copyright Office and is like, hey, I want to get a copyright of AI generated art for this piece, and here is the machine that I had that did it. The Copyright Office then turns around and is like, nah. And mind you, it was a panel of people. This is a case that was originally in 2019. It is now 2022. Okay, that's how long this process took for him to get a no, not here in this jurisdiction. And so I guess he's kind of feeling kind of hurt. But anywho, I read X amount of this article, and then I was looking at some other articles about this. And I had posted about this on LinkedIn. It was interesting, with what other information was kind of popping up about it, where one, somebody indicated that he actually has the patent for the process to make AI generated art. Now, again, this is not directly crypto related, but it is crypto related because we have the whole wave of the NFT space and things going on right now. Not to mention, this is really far stretched. This is just how my carnival works. If you can have AI generated art, case in point, what you see on the screen, right? What stops you, especially for what I see going on right now with the lowering of the barrier to entry for metaverses as far as the cost and the technical know-how? What stops a person from generating or creating an AI that can create metaverses? Now, granted, I'm running way, way, way down the road, but nonetheless, let me step back a couple, right? This particular gentleman here is trying to get copyright protections for AI generated art, and he's doing it for the ones that I want to say he owns, because what I was not able to get a clear picture on was, is he actually a coder, and is it that he actually made the AI himself? It doesn't sound like he actually made the AI himself, and he actually has more than one machine. And what he's also been doing is he's been going to different jurisdictions, right? That had me kind of wondering in regards to him going into different jurisdictions to get the, hey, you can get a copyright here. And so far he's done the EU, he's done UK, he's done the States, and I forgot the other place, but he did get what seems like a go in Australia. Now, from what I've heard about the Australia copyright thing, it's not known as the best one. Like the US, the UK, the EU are known as the best one. China's a whole nother thing onto itself, but that is also another market to go to in regards to copyright stuff. Nonetheless, this is definitely one of those things of, personally, I'm wondering what the bigger point of why he was doing this, because for the way that it seemed, as far as what the court or what the copy office was saying, the US Copyright Office was saying, it didn't have enough human authorship to it, which then brings into the question, well, if the human makes the code that makes the AI, like, doesn't that count for something? But for the way they saw it, it didn't, right? And so he did not get it in the US. But my bigger thing was, well, why is he doing it? Why didn't he just apply for it under himself as a person? No answer to that. The funny part of it is he like, and this goes to the thing that I've been saying about what is going on with mass adoption and what it really looks like and what the growing pains process of this thing is. It is going to be like 1810 horse and buggy, cobblestone road filled with shit. Like, that is going to be mass adoption. There are going to be people who are going to do things that we don't like. And just like how we as individuals or communities, or small groups or cliques, we can take this technology of blockchain and use it with other technologies that are open source, or if you're going to do the copyright stuff too, you can go that way with it. And we're going to use it in ways that not everybody's going to agree with. We're going to see governments do things in ways that we're not going to agree with, which goes into the next story, right? But the bottom line and the point is, I had to bring this up because I was also wondering, what will this mean for the art market in the following rest of this decade? What will this mean if you've been paying any attention to any of the NFT markets and what's going on in those development? AI generated art is already a part of the NFT market. So what is this going to mean, or will this have any impact in when we talk about authenticity or provenance and things along that matter, about as far as like what NFTs are supposed to bring in regards to like royalties and understanding the track record of like, where did this start from? Where was it minted? If it's a machine quote that did it, does this have the same thing to it? And then when we talk about IP and what is IP going to mean in the NFT space in the coming years? And I'm talking about IP in relation to NFTs, and I see that as a different thing than digital assets, okay? That's a whole nother conversation. Nonetheless, I ain't trying to like, ride the horse to death on this one, but I do think that this is one of those cases that should be on people's radars, especially if you are in the NFT space, if you are looking at digital assets, if you're looking at your IP in real world, as far as physical objects and things that you can get the IP on. And then what does that mean when you translate over into this metaverse, into this digital space, into this Web3? Like, these are those little cases that happen that make for like the track record to the precedent cases that lead to certain movements in the legal jurisdiction matter. Just throwing that out there. Nonetheless, I'm gonna jump on to this next thing, right? We didn't see this coming. We didn't see this coming. I'm gonna jump with this story first right here. Basically, it comes out that Canada sanctions 35 crypto wallets tied to the Trucker Convoy Freedom. And so now, you have the maxis are like, see, we told you crypto can never be stopped. And they're all over the place, waving fists and stuff. And then other people are going, wait, what's going on right now that we're actually really just outright making something such as protesting, which arguably in certain jurisdictions and stuff are a human right. And yet we're making this to be the thing to stand on, to say, hey, we're gonna have, rules and regulations that basically say, no, you can't do it if the government does not agree with what you're protesting about. Or if your protest is too much of an inconvenience to the government. And here we are right now. The perfect powder cake, and I don't think anyone saw this scenario playing out as far as Canada going to the extremes that they have been going in their regulatory moves and expansion of powers in this emergency setting, in order to then say, hey, we're going to stop this convoy and we're going to do it by going after the money. I want to make a point on something that I seen a meme about, and it kind of had me cracking up, because it was like, so y'all was able to figure out using traditional banking and that infrastructure and network, the people who use crypto to support the truck convoy, but you were not able to figure out the people who was buying the Epstein services. I'm just saying, it's the same back-end system. How y'all not able to figure that out? I don't know. Nonetheless though, right? The other interesting part of this is what did they really stop, right? What did they really stop? Like, did they stop the wallets from working? Did they stop the technology from working? Did they stop people from actually still being able to maneuver or move cryptocurrencies back and forth? No, they didn't do none of that. And then it's going to be really interesting to see the fallout on this when the stuff actually starts going to court, because none of this has gone to like court yet, because they're still running under the whole cover of emergency powers and exemptions on stuff, right? But when this stuff goes to court to be like, well, my account or my money or my business, especially for the trucker folks, shout outs to all my trucker folks. I used to be a trucker myself. I wasn't long hauling. I was doing the tri-state area, but nonetheless, shout outs to the truckers. If you have been in the industry or you had a family member in the industry, you know that the trucking industry is like arguably like the lifeblood of how stuff moves in a country. Enough of that, right? So now, again, looking at this scenario, right? Jumping over to this particular joint right here, this company called Hunchuk in Canada. This right here, like, is one of those moments where you're like, yes, somebody gets it, right? They actually agreed and was like, listen, like, we can't stop any of the transactions. We can't tell you what's going on in the wallet. Like, we literally designed it this way. Now, if you haven't heard the story, definitely check out Twitter, check out this company. And the bottom line was that the courts came to them and was like, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z to freeze these people's stuff. And they were just like, yo, we can't do it. That's not how our system is set up. That's not how this works. So now this comes into the question of what will be the next step that the regulators and out of the Trudeau and his folks, out of their cabinet of folks or administration, what is the next step that they're going to try to do in order to like close, corral, or whatever, you know, cryptocurrency users, especially if you're not using any of the off ramps? And that's the big thing of it right here, where can they tell you how to use the open source technology? They can try to tell you, but can they force you? That's a different story. Now, when it comes to the off ramps, that's the part where we get caught up at. It's the off ramps, right? So whether you're talking about the exchanges, whether you're talking about the crypto ATMs, when you're trying to cash out or you know, fiat into a cryptocurrency or a token or whatever, that's the part where we have the issues at, and arguably issues for, you know, depending on what you're trying to do, arguably it's an issue. Nonetheless, though, the technology and the added value or the utility of the technology itself, this is the stuff we've been talking about for how long now, right? This is first decade conversation as far as like 2013, 09, 2011. And here we are more than 10 years later. And like, this is how it played out. Canada, of all the countries to go and do the totalitarian like regulatory stuff, no one expected a Canada. Like, Canadians are known as like the nicest people globally. It makes no sense, but yet here we are, right? And shout out to all my connections to the north, by the way, man. I miss y'all. Like, I'm so ready to go back up north. Dead ass, I really am. I just need y'all to figure out that border situation for those of us who have not decided to, you know, jibby jab. Just saying. The last thing I wanted to leave y'all with in regards to this on the My Two Satoshis, if you did not understand or you didn't think crypto mattered before, right? And you were just here for the price speculation, there is more going on to this technology as an added value than the price speculation factor. The technology is definitely doing more and has an added value than you think. And if you're not looking outside of the US and just like outside of like North America, if you haven't been paying attention, it seemingly is that a lot of the bigger countries or countries in general are moving in different directions on this thing. So you have what Russia's doing, where they came up with the stable coin through their central bank, and that's going to be a thing to come out later on in the year. It's a company called Atomize, right? There's another thing going on with the CBDC thing. There's other stuff going on with China and what they're looking to do. Latin America it seems like there might be a domino effect going on in Latin America, and like who's about to really endorse and pop off with the whole Bitcoin movement. We already see what El Salvador is doing. IMF is over there waving their fingers at them, telling them no, 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 but the government's like, we're gonna do this anyway. And of course, Canada goes the opposite direction. It is what it is, right? But it's not like the war is won. This whole thing of mass adoption and what people think it's going to be like, it's not going to be utopic. It is so not going to be utopic. It is going to have a hell of a ton of growing pains to it. And this is one of those growing pains. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this one, right? This is the last thing I'm gonna leave y'all with, just to show y'all this. This was an interesting conversation that I was listening to on Twitter. Honestly, like at this point, Twitter is definitely holding it down as like the news source for like everything going on in the space right now. And so Jameson Lopt and some other folks were talking about basically what to do if your nation bans cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in particular, because you know they're on that side of the maxi train. But this really does apply in the general, because honestly, like there is no guaranteed future that Bitcoin is going to be the thing to be here in like 15, 20 years as far as Bitcoin, the currency. The technology is a different thing. The protocol level, first layer stuff, different thing. But nonetheless, it still goes to this point of if governments really start taking action and following the route of what Canada is doing, what does that really mean for people at the ground level, at like the everyday in the space thing, and who's going to be in, who's going to be out? I strongly recommend, again, not financial advice. This is not a speculative point that I'm making. This is more about the tech side of it. This is more about the functionality stuff going on, the usability of it, the utility of it. I strongly recommend, if you're looking or interested in that side of the space, you might want to check out this particular Spaces recording and take a listen to what they're talking about, because I really do think they make some valid points and observations, because it's like 2 or 3 people that are a part of companies that are based in Canada. Some people are like down here in the US, but they make some interesting points about how they see the regulators moving going forward and what it really means at the technical level of, well, what are you actually regulating when you say we're banning Bitcoin? Well, are you banning BVS? Are you banning, like future derivative stuff? Are you banning ETF? Like, what are you actually banning? Are you banning private wallets? How do you ban private wallets, right? Those are the things that they cover in this. I think it's a really good conversation. Again, if you are in this space and you're just looking at it purely as a speculative thing, in my small little, 2 Satoshi's opinion, you're falling short on like the bigger value of this thing we call crypto and what it allows us to do as people, as individuals, and as a collective. But again, I'm not looking to beat the horse, and this is not financial advice. I'm just some guy on the internet, right? Other than that, I'm gonna close this one out to say this particular segment is brought to you by Cigar Recon. Again, this is my guy Dante. He has his own line. It's the ZK Maduro line. If you about that smoke, check out the website. Why? Because he also takes crypto for you to be able to get those cigars, and he definitely delivers in a timely manner. So again, this is my 2 Satoshis. I'm Trek with 2 Ks. Like, share, leave some comments, bring up something, be like, yo, like, what's your thoughts on whatever? I don't know what it is, but do know I don't do price talk. If you ever followed any of the lives, you know I'm not a price talk guy. But other than that, y'all, I'm gonna just say, 1, have a P over B day. All right, y'all.